Hey guys, welcome to video number 4. So just a quick update on the laser engraver. It's broken. Don't buy cheap laser engravers off Amazon. It's not worth it. But for this video, I'm going to be working on the Elenco AC DC power supply kit. And it's another soldering kit, so hopefully this one works and it doesn't fail like the last one. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Here's everything that came with the kit. It came with a cable clamp, some transistors, some heat shrink tubing, a switch, a heat sink, a transformer, a couple of resistors, some diodes, some electrolytic capacitors, some nuts and bolts, and a potentiometer. It also came with a power cable and a board. Here's the board that the kit came with. I got a question on my last video about how do I tell which components go where. The answer is all these symbols that are on the board, they tell you what goes where. So for example, R3 would be resistor 3, and I have instructions that tell me what resistor 3 is. D1 would be diode 1, and again I have instructions that tell me what that is so that I can put the right thing there, and they're all kind of laid out like that. This board's pretty much the same as the Vailman ones, it's just on the back. All the soldering pads, which are they look good to go, so let's get to soldering. Just a quick pause to talk about diodes. You can see that each diode has a band on the end of the diode, and there's a band shown on the diode location on the board. You have to get those to match because diodes have a polarity, so if you put it backwards, you'll just wreck the diode and it won't do its job properly. Okay, so now I've had to take it off the board support because the transformer is fairly heavy and I don't really want to put it on there. So now I'm going to hook up the cable and the transformer. One thing with a cable like this, where it's just directly to the wall and then to this, is you have to be really careful with this end, how you solder it in. You never want this exposed. That's what this shrink tubing's for. You put it over the end and then it seals it off really good so that you don't accidentally touch that cable, because that cable is fairly dangerous. So now that the transformer is mounted, reading the kit, it asked me to strip about 3 inches off each of these wires to use them later, so that's what I'm going to do next. Now that I've got this little pile of wires, I'm going to use wire strippers to strip the ends of all of the different wires. That is now done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect each of these wires off the transformer into their proper locations down here on the board, and then I'll solder those. The next step is to solder these wires that I cut off earlier onto their correct positions on the board, so I'm going to do that now. The instructions call for these two yellow wires to be soldered on for the AC output, and for this red wire and this blue wire to be soldered on for the DC output. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so the last part of this kit is to solder on this power cable which goes to the wall. You got to be really careful with these cables because they're pretty dangerous. It goes directly into your house's power supply, so I mean, be careful with it, and just don't touch the exposed ends when it's plugged in. Okay, the last step is to heat shrink the protective shrink tubes over the outsides of this cable to keep it safe, which apparently you just do by moving the soldering iron near the heat shrink tubing and it shrinks on. Okay, using the soldering iron takes way too long. Just use like a butane torch or a lighter. It's a lot easier to just with an open flame get the shrink tube to shrink down. Okay, the kit is done, but I have all these exposed wires on the ends, which I really don't like because it's kind of dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I have some extra heat shrink tubing. I'm just going to heat shrink the ends of the AC side because I don't really think I'll need that anytime soon. And then I'll try and hook up the DC side to some stuff to see if it works. Okay, to test if this thing works, I've got this practice soldering kit that came with my soldering iron. And basically it flashes lights and emits a tone whenever it's plugged in. So I'm going to hook that up to this power supply, and I've got it turned down really low so it shouldn't blow anything up. But I don't really care if it blows this up, if it does. But we'll know it works if I flick a switch and stuff starts smoking. Okay, I have it turned on now, and I'm going to connect the positive and the negative, and we're going to see what happens. Oh, yeah, it's turned on. Okay, so our on-off switch doesn't super work because as I adjust this, I am still getting, oh, maybe not. Might have been just a little left over in the capacitors. So, okay, it does work. There was just some energy stored in the capacitors that was left over. It works. I'm definitely going to look into modifying it so that I cannot have dangerous cables that are just poking out. I might get some alligator clips or something. But it totally works, which is awesome considering the last one I attempted was a failure. And I'll see you guys in the next video.